A new rule banning medical debt from appearing on credit reports and loan applications is set to wipe away around $49 billion in medical bills.
And that impacts about 15 million Americans. And joining us in studio to talk more about this, we have local financial professional Brett Gottlieb with Comprehensive Advisor. So thank you for being here once again.
Of course. Good
and
to
you're
see
going to clear the air for me because I'm having a hard time understanding. So when does this rule actually take effect, and when do we start to see it impacting credit scores and whatnot?
Here's the funny thing. It really doesn't even matter because it already applies. All the major agencies in 2022 came out and said, for the most part, medical debt, we're not going to even consider in the calculation of your credit score, and even debt that has gone to collection. So really all this does is if they decide to change their internal rules, it pretty much protects everybody moving forward.
So realistically, there hasn't really been an impact. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
but you know, you start to talk about your credit score, and I think people tend to like tense up a little bit because they're like, I don't want to hurt my credit. Well, since we have you here, so can you maybe tell us, how do we improve our credit score? Because I think that was kind of what people were really nervous about.
Well, I think you have to think about it when it comes to your credit score. It's something we use all the time. You go to buy a home, you go to buy a car, even if you go rent an apartment, some employment is going to check your credit. And they're just trying to see, like, hey, you know, how are you doing, you know, financially? Do you manage your bills appropriate to get this? So we want to look at things. What can we do to improve our credit score? How do we keep our credit score good? I think the first one is just make sure you don't have too much credit available. And so don't go out and start like applying for cards, and if you apply for one and you get declined, make sure that you don't just go do a bunch more, because that's going to impact your credit score. You also want to look at, you know, if you do have credit, like you're not using all of it up. You know, if I've got $50,000 of credit available and I'm using 49 of it, that's not a good thing. That's going to hurt my score. So we want to keep those limits low. Make sure that you're always paying on time. That's the biggest one.
Sure.
Okay, you miss payments, that's a problem. And I even tell people, if you miss a payment, think about it. Not just is the interest accruing more, you've got penalties and the late fees. Make sure if you're a couple days late, call in and just say, hey, are you going to report this that I'm a couple days late? Sorry, I was out of town, whatever it is. And would you mind, I've never done this before, could you, waive the penalty? Don't pay the money just because. And then you should be monitoring your credit, check on it a couple times a year. You get a free credit report once a year. You might as well take advantage of that at a bare minimum, but maybe do it twice a year. I had checked mine a few years back and noticed that my date, like my birth date and everything was all correct. My address was right. Like 2 years ago I checked and they were totally wrong.
Oh.
I'm like, wait, that doesn't even make sense. Like, what happens? How did that get updated?
Right.
So check it. Make sure, there's a lot of scams and fraud out there, so that's why you want to check it regularly.
Even some of these credit bureaus recently are being sued, actually, right? That for inaccurate information.
Correct.
And consumers can have the upper hand here. Let's ask you this last question, if we can. All of this was put into effect during the Biden years, but what about now with the Trump administration coming in? You see any changes ahead?
No question. I think that we're going to see a lot of changes. Everything from credit and taxes and how we deal with some of the financial things going on in our life on a day-to-day basis. Be prepared for a lot of this stuff to continue coming. It's happening regularly. We're dealing with some stuff with OPM right now and some of our federal employees in this big email that went out yesterday. And what does that mean for those, if they're going to resign or not? So there's a lot more changes in this world that we're going to see.
Okay. Well, I guess it's just better to be prepared. So, Brett, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you for being here.